My dear wonderful friends, tonight I shall share with you the most powerful secret in all of creation. How to speak to yourself in a way that will completely transform your world in just 3 days. Not in 3 months, not in 3 years, but in 3 days. For you see, the power of your inner conversation is absolute. And it is the only true creative power in the universe. Now, when I tell you to talk to yourself, I am not speaking of the idle chatter that most engage in throughout their day. I speak of that inner conversation that is deliberate, conscious, and aligned with your desired state. For your inner conversation is your consciousness externalized, and your consciousness is God. Consider the words of Scripture. In the beginning was the Word. These words are not speaking of some external deity's utterance. They speak of your inner word, your inner conversation. For you are the operant power, and your inner conversation is the word that creates all things. Many of you come to me asking, Neville, how long must I wait to see my desires manifest? And I tell you now, give yourself 3 days of proper inner conversation, and you will see your world begin to transform. For 3 is the number of completion in Scripture. And when you maintain the proper inner conversation for 3 days, you set in motion forces beyond your current understanding. Let me share with you exactly how to conduct this inner conversation. First, you must understand that your inner conversation must be from the end. You do not speak of what you want to be true. You speak as though what you desire is already true. This is the great secret that most of the world has missed. When you wake in the morning of your first day, your inner conversation must be from the state of your wish fulfilled. If you desire wealth, your inner conversation must be that of a wealthy person. If you desire health, your inner conversation must be that of a healthy person. If you desire love, your inner conversation must be that of someone who is deeply loved. But, and this is crucial, your inner conversation must feel natural. It must not be strained or forced. For feeling is the secret, and your inner conversation must be accompanied by the feeling of naturalness. Let me give you a perfect example from Scripture. When David spoke to Goliath, his inner conversation was not, I hope I can win, or I will try my best. His inner conversation was from the state of victory already achieved. This is why he could say with complete conviction, this day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand. Now, for these 3 days, you must guard your inner conversation as though your life depends upon it, because it does. Every time you catch yourself engaging in inner conversation that contradicts your desired state, you must immediately revise it. This is not a suggestion. This is a command if you wish to see your world transform. Consider this, every outer conversation you have is first an inner conversation. Every relationship you have is first an inner conversation. Every circumstance in your life is first an inner conversation. Therefore, by changing your inner conversation for just 3 days, you literally change the entire substance from which your world is created. Let me tell you how to structure your inner conversation throughout these 3 days. In the morning, your first inner words must be from the state of your wish fulfilled. Before you open your eyes, before you move a muscle, engage in the inner conversation of the person you wish to be. If you desire wealth, your inner conversation might be, I am so grateful for my abundant life. Money flows to me easily and continuously. I am surrounded by prosperity. But remember, these words must not be mere affirmations. They must be spoken with the feeling of knowing that they are already true. Throughout your day, your inner conversation must maintain the same level of conviction. When challenges arise, and they will arise, your inner conversation must remain steadfast. If someone speaks of lack, your inner conversation must be of abundance. If someone speaks of illness, your inner conversation must be of health. This is where most fail in their attempt to change their world. They allow their inner conversation to be pulled into the current circumstances rather than maintaining the conversation of their desired state. But I tell you now, circumstances have no power over your inner conversation unless you give them that power. For these 3 days, you must be relentless in maintaining your new inner conversation. When you walk down the street, your inner conversation must be from your desired state. When you eat your meals, your inner conversation must be from your desired state. When you prepare for sleep, your inner conversation must be from your desired state. Let me share with you a principle that I have tested and proven countless times. Your inner conversation is the only reality. Everything else, absolutely everything, is a shadow of your inner conversation pushed out. Therefore, when you maintain the proper inner conversation for 3 days, you literally create a new world. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, 3 days seems too short a time to change my entire world. Let me remind you of the story of Jonah. How long was he in the belly of the whale? 3 days. And after 3 days, he was transformed, and his world was transformed. This is not coincidence, my dear friends. This is law. 3 days of proper inner conversation is all that is required to set in motion the forces that will transform your world. But these must be 3 complete days, not 3 days of wavering between states. During these 3 days, you must guard your inner conversation not just in your waking hours, but as you fall asleep. For the last inner conversation you have before sleep is particularly powerful. It continues to echo through your subconscious mind throughout your sleep. Therefore, as you prepare for sleep during these 3 days, your inner conversation must be perfectly aligned with your desired state. If you desire a successful business, your inner conversation might be, I am so grateful for my thriving business. My customers are delighted with our services. Profits increase continuously. But remember, and this is crucial, your inner conversation must be accompanied by the feeling of naturalness. It must feel as natural to have this conversation as it feels to speak of what you had for breakfast. This is where the power lies, not in the words themselves, but in the feeling of naturalness that accompanies them. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your outer conversations. Therefore, during these 3 days, you must be particularly vigilant about your outer conversations as well. They must align with your new inner conversation. If someone asks you how you are, your response must come from your desired state. If someone speaks to you about problems or difficulties, your response must come from your desired state. Your outer conversation must be a perfect reflection of your new inner conversation. Many of you may find this challenging at first. You may be tempted to engage in conversations about current circumstances rather than your desired state. But I tell you now, this is where your power lies in maintaining your new conversation regardless of appearances. Consider the story of Jesus walking on water. What was his inner conversation? Was it about the impossibility of walking on water? Was it about the danger of the storms? No, his inner conversation was from the state of mastery over all natural laws. And his outer world had to conform to this inner conversation. During these 3 days, you must maintain the same level of conviction in your inner conversation. You must speak to yourself as though your desired state is already your reality. Not as though it will be, not as though it might be, but as though it is. Let me share with you how to handle doubts when they arise during these 3 days, and they will arise. When a doubt appears in your mind, do not fight it. Instead, immediately revise your inner conversation. If you catch yourself saying inwardly, this isn't working, immediately revise it to, everything is working perfectly. My world is transforming now. This revision must be immediate and complete. You cannot allow doubt to linger in your inner conversation. For remember, your inner conversation is the only reality. Therefore, a doubting inner conversation will create a doubting outer reality. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be dominated by gratitude. Not gratitude for what you hope will come, but gratitude for what is already yours in your desired state. This gratitude must be part of your inner conversation throughout the day. When you wake in the morning, your inner conversation must be filled with gratitude. When you go about your daily activities, your inner conversation must be filled with gratitude. When you prepare for sleep, your inner conversation must be filled with gratitude. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your inner states, and your inner states create your outer world. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of your wish fulfilled. If you desire wealth, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of wealth consciousness. If you desire health, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of health consciousness. If you desire love, your inner conversation must create and maintain the inner state of being loved. Many of you may be wondering what to do if you slip in your inner conversation during these 3 days. Let me be very clear, you must not condemn yourself. Instead, immediately revise the conversation. Remember, you are training yourself to maintain a new inner conversation, and like any training, it requires practice. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your primary focus. Every other activity must be secondary to maintaining your new inner conversation, for you are literally recreating your world through this conversation. Let me share with you how to structure your inner conversation for specific desires. If you desire a new home, your inner conversation might be, I love living in my beautiful new home. Everything about it is perfect for me. If you desire a promotion, your inner conversation might be, I am so grateful for my new position. It's everything I desired and more. But remember, these are not mere words. They must be accompanied by the feeling of living in that new home, the feeling of working in that new position. For feeling is the secret. And your inner conversation must generate the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be specific. Vague inner conversation creates vague results. Therefore, speak to yourself with clarity about your desired state. Be specific in your inner conversation about what you are grateful for, what you are experiencing, what you are enjoying in your desired state. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your self-concept, and your self-concept creates your world. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must be about who you are, not just what you have. If you desire success, your inner conversation must be about being a successful person, not just about having success. If you desire abundance, your inner conversation must be about being an abundant person, not just about having money. If you desire love, your inner conversation must be about being a loved person, not just about having a relationship. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be continuous, not in the sense of constant chatter, but in the sense of consistent alignment with your desired state. Every time you become aware of your inner conversation, it must be from your desired state. Let me share with you how to maintain this continuity. Set reminders for yourself throughout the day. Every time you look at your watch, every time you eat a meal, every time you enter a room, let these be triggers to check your inner conversation. But remember, your inner conversation must not be mechanical. It must be alive with feeling, rich with the emotion of your desired state, for it is the feeling that gives power to your inner conversation. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be sovereign. You must not allow anyone or anything to dictate your inner conversation. Not circumstances, not other people's opinions, not past experiences. Nothing must have power over your inner conversation except you. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your expectations, and your expectations create your experience. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must create the highest expectations of good for yourself. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, what if my desired state seems impossible? Let me remind you, nothing is impossible to your inner conversation. Your inner conversation is God in action, and to God all things are possible. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be about possibility, not probability. You must speak to yourself from the state of your wish fulfilled, regardless of how probable or improbable may seem to your rational mind. Let me share with you how to handle apparent failures during these 3 days. If something happens that seems to contradict your desired state, your inner conversation must remain unchanged. You must speak to yourself as though the seeming failure is actually part of the perfect unfolding of your desire. Remember, your inner conversation is creating your reality, not the other way around. Therefore, no external circumstance has the power to change your inner conversation unless you give it that power. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your constant companion. It must be the lens through which you view every experience, the filter through which you interpret every event, the standard by which you measure every circumstance. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your belief system, and your belief system creates your reality. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must consistently reinforce the beliefs that support your desired state. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be a perfect reflection of the person you wish to be. You must speak to yourself as that person would speak, think as that person would think, feel as that person would feel. Let me share with you how to maintain this level of consciousness. When you catch yourself speaking from your old state, immediately ask yourself, how would I be speaking to myself if I were already the person I wish to be? Then revise your inner conversation accordingly. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be about what is, not what was or what might be. You must speak to yourself in the present tense from the state of your wish fulfilled. This is crucial for the manifestation of your desire. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your future, but it does so by creating your present. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must make your desired future your present reality. Many of you may be wondering what will happen after these 3 days. Let me tell you, if you have maintained the proper inner conversation for 3 days, you will have set in motion forces that must result in the manifestation of your desire. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your primary tool for creation. Every other method, every other technique, every other approach must be secondary to maintaining your new inner conversation. Let me share with you how to know if your inner conversation is correct. If it feels natural, if it feels real, if it feels true, even in the face of contrary evidence, then your inner conversation is correct. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be protected like a precious jewel. You must guard it against doubt, against fear, against negativity. For your inner conversation is the very substance from which your world is created. Let me share with you another principle. Your inner conversation creates your relationship with yourself, and your relationship with yourself creates all other relationships. Therefore, during these 3 days, your inner conversation must reflect the highest, most loving relationship with yourself. During these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your sacred practice. You must treat it with the same reverence that a priest treats his prayers, that a scientist treats his experiments, that an artist treats his creations. Let me share with you how to maintain this level of devotion. See your inner conversation as your direct connection to the creative power of the universe. For that is exactly what it is. Your consciousness in action, creating your world. Throughout these 3 days, your inner conversation must be your constant reminder of who you really are, the operant power in your world, the creator of reality, the God of your universe. And that, my dear friends, is how you must talk to yourself for 3 days if you wish to transform your world. Not sometimes, not occasionally, but consistently, continuously, constantly. For your inner conversation is the word of God in action, and it cannot return void. Remember this, your world is your inner conversation pushed out. Therefore, guard your inner conversation for these 3 days, as though your life depends upon it, because it does. So what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue with your old inner conversation, creating the same results you've always created? Or will you begin today, this moment, to maintain a new inner conversation that must create a new world? The choice is yours, but the law is absolute. Your inner conversation creates your reality. Therefore, speak to yourself for 3 days as though your desires are already fulfilled, and watch your world transform. That's the message I want to leave you tonight. Not because it's easy, but because it's true. Not because it's simple, but because it's powerful. Not because it's what you expected to hear, but because it's what you needed to hear. Remember, 3 days of proper inner conversation will transform your world. Every single time. And isn't that worth thinking about? I wish to share with you the greatest secret in the world, a secret that the vast majority of mankind does not understand or apply. This secret is about the true nature of reality and how you are creating it moment by moment through your imagination and consciousness. The world that you perceive outside of yourself is nothing more than a reflection, an echo, a shadow of what exists within you. The external reality that you experience daily is not the cause of your life's conditions, it is the effect. You are the operant power. You are the causative principle. You are the divinity that shapes your world. The inner conversation. Let us begin by discussing what I call the inner conversation. All day long there is a conversation going on within you. You are constantly talking to yourself about the events of the day, about other people, about your hopes, your fears, your expectations. This inner conversation is shaping your world far more powerfully than you can imagine. What are you saying to yourself in these private moments? Are you rehearsing failure? Are you constantly reminding yourself of past disappointments? Are you telling yourself that what you desire is too difficult, too unlikely, too far beyond your reach? If so, then you are actively creating those very conditions in your outer world. Your inner conversation is your direct line to the creative power of the universe. It is through this inner dialogue that you are manifesting your reality. And the remarkable truth is that you can change your inner conversation at any moment, and in doing so, change your entire world. Imagine for a moment that you are having a conversation with yourself about a desire that burns within you. Perhaps it is a new job, a loving relationship, financial abundance, perfect health. In your inner conversation, are you speaking from the end? Are you experiencing the joy, the satisfaction, the fulfillment of already having what you desire? Or are you speaking from lack, from wanting, from absence? When I say speak from the end, I mean to assume the consciousness of already being the person you wish to be, already having what you wish to have. This is the art of revision, not changing the past in a physical sense, but changing your memory and perception of it, which changes its impact on your present and future. The law of assumption. This brings us to what I consider the cardinal principle of manifestation, the law of assumption. The law of assumption states that if you assume you are already the person you wish to be, already have what you wish to have, already experiencing what you wish to experience, and if you persist in this assumption, despite all evidence to the contrary, this assumption will harden into fact. Notice that I said persist in this assumption despite all evidence to the contrary. This is crucial. The outer world, your senses, the opinions of others, all of these will initially contradict your assumption. This is natural and to be expected. The outer world is a shadow of past assumptions. It takes time for a new assumption to externalize itself into your three-dimensional reality. So many of you give up too soon. You make a new assumption, you feel its reality, you live from the end for a short time, but then you look around and see that nothing has changed. And so you abandon your assumption and return to the old state of consciousness. But had you persisted, had you maintained your assumption regardless of appearances, you would have seen your desire made manifest. The secret, then, is to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to experience in your imagination the reality of what you desire. And then to do nothing, absolutely nothing, to make it happen. This is the true meaning of do nothing after this. And watch how everything falls into place. The Sabbath. In Scripture, there is a profound symbolism in the concept of the Sabbath. God created for 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested. He did nothing. Why? Because the work was finished. In your manifestation process, there comes a point where your work too is finished. That work is the work of assumption. Once you have assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, once you have entered the state of consciousness of already being, having, or experiencing what you desire, your work is done. The Sabbath represents the mental attitude of resting in the knowledge that what you have imagined is now in the process of becoming a physical reality. It is a state of calm confidence, of peaceful expectancy. It is a cessation of effort, worry, and anxiety. It is, in essence, doing nothing. Most of humanity does not understand this principle. They believe that manifestation requires constant action, constant effort, constant struggle. But I tell you, the universe does not respond to action or effort. It responds only to consciousness, to the state that you occupy in your mind. Let me share a personal experience to illustrate this principle. Many years ago, I desired to travel to Barbados to visit my family. However, I had no money for the journey. Rather than focusing on the lack of funds, I began to imagine sleeping in my childhood home in Barbados. Night after night, as I fell asleep, I would imagine the unique feeling of my bed there, the sounds of the island night, the familiar smells of my home. I did not worry about how I would get the money. I did not make anxious plans or scheme to accumulate the funds. I simply lived in my imagination the experience of already being in Barbados. And then I did nothing. I went about my daily life, secure in the knowledge that what I had imagined was now in the process of manifestation. Within a short time, I received a letter from my brother containing exactly the amount of money I needed for the journey. The way had been made, not through my effort or action, but through my assumption and my willingness to do nothing but trust in the law. The impediment of effort. Let us explore why effort is not only unnecessary, but can actually impede the manifestation of your desires. When you make an effort to achieve something, you are implicitly acknowledging that you do not yet have it. You are affirming its absence rather than its presence. This is contrary to the law of assumption, which requires you to assume the feeling of already having what you desire. Effort implies struggle, and struggle implies resistance. Where there is resistance, there is not the free flow of creative energy that allows your assumption to externalize itself in your world. The universe does not require your effort. It requires only your alignment, your congruence with the state of having already received. Consider the biblical story of the prodigal son. When he returned home, his father did not demand that he work to earn back his place in the family. The father immediately celebrated his return, clothed him in fine garments, and killed a fatted calf for a feast. This is how the universe responds to your return to the state of having what you desire. It does not demand effort. It celebrates your return to wholeness. The doing nothing that I speak of is not passivity or resignation. It is a powerful, active trust in the law of your own being. It is the confidence to step back and allow the universe to rearrange itself to match your assumption. It is the wisdom to know that once the seed of assumption has been planted, it will grow of its own accord without your anxious tending. The power of revision. Now let us delve deeper into the practice of revision, which is a powerful tool in this process of doing nothing. Revision is the art of reimagining past events in a way that supports your desired state. If you have had experiences that contradict the state you wish to embody, you can revise them in your imagination. For instance, if you desire financial abundance but have memories of lack and limitation, you can revise those memories. You can reimagine them as experiences of plenty, of having more than enough. This is not denial or delusion. It is the recognition that the past exists only in your consciousness and therefore can be transformed by your consciousness. Revision allows you to clean up your mental house, to remove the contradictions to your desired state. And once those contradictions are removed, your assumption can take root and flourish without opposition. I have seen countless cases where individuals have transformed their lives through the practice of revision. One woman I knew had a long history of troubled relationships. Each night before sleep, she would revise her day, reimagining harmonious, loving interactions with everyone she had encountered. Within months, The quality of her relationships transformed completely, culminating in a beautiful, loving partnership that had previously seemed impossible. This is the power of doing nothing, of simply revising your mental patterns and then allowing the universe to respond to your new state of consciousness. The state of wish fulfilled. The state of the wish fulfilled is not merely a mental exercise, it is a complete shift in consciousness. It is becoming in your mind and heart the person who already has what you desire. This state has a distinct feeling tone, a specific frequency that you can learn to recognize and embody. When you enter the state of the wish fulfilled, there is a sense of relief, of satisfaction, of gratitude. There is no anxiety, no grasping, no desperate need. There is simply the quiet joy of having what you desire, of being who you wish to be. This state is not always easy to access, particularly if you have spent years in states of lack and limitation, but it is accessible to everyone, for it is your natural state. You were born to create, to manifest, to experience the fulfillment of your desires. It is only the accumulated beliefs and assumptions of a lifetime that have obscured this natural ability. To enter the state of the wish fulfilled, begin with small things. Practice assuming the feeling of already having something simple that you desire. Feel the reality of it, live from that state, and then watch as it manifests in your outer world. As you build your confidence in this process, you can apply it to increasingly significant desires. The key is to make this state more real to you than the evidence of your senses. Your physical senses show you the world as it has been, not as it is becoming. Your imagination shows you the world as it can be, as it will be when your assumption has hardened into fact. Which will you trust the shadow of past assumptions, or the creative power of your present consciousness? The naturalness of having. One barrier many face in maintaining the state of the wish fulfilled is the feeling that having what they desire would be extraordinary, unusual, or unnatural. But consider, is it unnatural for a flower to bloom? Is it extraordinary for a seed to become a tree? Is it unusual for the sun to rise each morning? In the same way, it is entirely natural for you to experience the fulfillment of your desires. This is the law of your being. The universe is infinitely abundant, and you are a natural recipient of that abundance. Your desires are not random or arbitrary. They are the stirrings of the divine within you, seeking expression through your unique life. When you assume the state of having what you desire, do not regard it as something strange or exceptional. Regard it as the most natural thing in the world. Feel the normalcy of it, the ordinariness of it. This feeling of naturalness will help to anchor your assumption in your consciousness, making it easier to maintain even in the face of contradictory evidence. Consider a child who asks their parent for a toy. If the parent says yes, the child does not continue to beg and plead. The child simply says thank you and goes off to play, secure in the knowledge that the toy will be provided. The child doesn't worry about how the parent will get the money to buy the toy or when exactly it will arrive. The child simply trusts and then does nothing but wait in a state of happy expectancy. This is the attitude you must adopt toward your own manifestations. Once you have assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled, say thank you to the universe and go about your business, secure in the knowledge that what you have asked for is already yours in the realm of consciousness and is now moving toward you in the realm of form. The divine timing. Another aspect of doing nothing is honoring divine timing. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to see if it has sprouted. You plant it, water it, and then allow it to grow according to its own natural timing. Similarly, when you plant the seed of an assumption in your consciousness, you must give it time to grow. Some manifestations occur almost instantly, while others take more time. The timing is not up to your conscious mind. It is determined by a multitude of factors beyond your awareness. Trying to force manifestation to occur on your timetable is like trying to force a flower to bloom before its time. It cannot be done, and the attempt will only damage the natural process. Instead, trust that the universe knows exactly when and how to bring your assumption into physical reality. This trust is a crucial aspect of doing nothing. It is the patience to allow the universe to work in its own perfect way and timing. It is the confidence to know that what is yours can be withheld from you, and what is not yours cannot be forced into your experience. The inner knowing. As you practice the art of assumption and the discipline of doing nothing, you will develop an inner knowing, a quiet confidence that what you have assumed is now in the process of manifestation. This knowing is beyond faith, beyond belief. It is a deep, unshakable certainty that the law is working, that your assumption is being externalized, that your desire is moving toward you. This inner knowing does not shout. It does not need constant affirmation or reinforcement. It is a still, small voice that says it is done. And in that quiet certainty, you find peace. You cease striving, cease worrying, cease manipulating. You simply know. This knowing is the true meaning of faith. Faith is not hoping that something will happen. Faith is knowing that it has already happened in consciousness and is now being expressed in form. Faith, the evidence of things not seen, the substance of things hoped for. It is the ability to see the invisible, to experience the intangible, to know the unknowable. As you develop this inner knowing, you will find that doing nothing becomes increasingly effortless. You will no longer feel the need to control outcomes or manipulate circumstances. You will simply rest in the knowledge that what you have imagined is now being brought forth into your experience by the same power that creates worlds, the state akin to sleep. There is a state of consciousness that I call the state akin to sleep, which is particularly conducive to planting the seed of assumption. This state is the drowsy twilight zone between waking and sleeping, when the conscious mind relaxes its grip and the subconscious becomes more accessible. In this state, the barriers between your conscious and subconscious mind are lowered, allowing your assumption to sink deeply into the fertile soil of your subconscious. The subconscious does not discriminate between what is imagined and what is experienced through the physical senses. To the subconscious, an imaginal experience is just as real as a physical one. This is why I often recommend that you practice your imaginal acts as you are falling asleep at night and as you are waking in the morning. In these twilight states, your assumption can bypass the skepticism and resistance of the conscious mind and impress itself directly upon the subconscious, which is the creative power within you. When you enter the state akin to sleep, imagine a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. Make it as vivid and as real as possible. Feel the textures, hear the sounds, smell the scents. Engage all your senses in your imaginal experience. And most importantly, feel the emotions that would accompany the fulfillment of your desire, the joy, the gratitude, the satisfaction. Repeat this imaginal act night after night, falling asleep in the consciousness of already being, having or experiencing what you desire. As you do this, you are planting the seed of assumption in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. And then, having planted the seed, you do nothing. You allow it to take root and grow of its own accord. The release of desire. One of the paradoxes of manifestation is that to receive what you desire, you must release your attachment to it. This does not mean that you stop wanting it. It means that you stop wanting it from a place of lack, of need, of desperation. You want it from a place of already having it in consciousness. When you truly assume the state of the wish fulfilled, there is a natural release of desire. The desire is not gone, but it is transformed. It is no longer a burning need. It is a quiet joy. It is no longer a desperate wanting. It is a peaceful having. This release of desire is a crucial aspect of doing nothing. Consider the biblical injunction to let go and let God. This is precisely what I am talking about. When you have made your assumption, when you have entered the state of the wish fulfilled, you must then let go. Release it to the universe. Trust that the same power that created the stars and the oceans can certainly bring your desire into manifestation. This release does not mean that you forget about your desire or stop enjoying the feeling of its fulfillment in your imagination. It means that you stop worrying about it, stop obsessing over it, stop trying to make it happen through your effort and action. You simply live in the quiet confidence that it is already yours in consciousness and is now moving toward you in form. The power of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful states of consciousness for manifestation. When you are grateful, you are acknowledging that you have already received. This acknowledgement reinforces your assumption and accelerates its manifestation in your outer world. Practice feeling genuine gratitude for the fulfillment of your desire, even before you see evidence of it in your physical reality. Thank the universe for already having given you what you have asked for. Feel the joy, the appreciation, the wonder of already having received your desire. This attitude of gratitude is not pretending or make-believe. It is the recognition of a spiritual truth, that what you have assumed in consciousness is already yours in the only realm that matters, the realm of consciousness itself. The physical manifestation is merely the shadow, the echo, the reflection of what already exists within you. As you cultivate this attitude of gratitude, you will find that your assumptions take root more quickly and manifest more easily. Gratitude clears the path for the flow of abundance. It aligns you with the frequency of receiving. It opens your heart and mind to the infinite blessings that are always available to you. The test of assumption. How do you know if you have truly assumed the state of the wish fulfilled? There is a simple test. If your desire were manifested in your physical reality right now, how would you feel? That feeling is what you must capture and embody in your consciousness. If you would feel joy, then you must feel joy now. If you would feel peace, then you must feel peace now. If you would feel confidence, then you must feel confidence now. The feeling is the secret. The feeling is the frequency that attracts the manifestation. The feeling is the magnet that draws your desire from the realm of possibility into the realm of actuality. If you find it difficult to capture and maintain this feeling, then you have not yet fully assumed the state of the wish fulfilled. Continue to practice your imaginal acts. Continue to revise contradictory thoughts and experiences. Continue to live from the end, speaking and acting as if your desire is already a physical reality. And then, having done this inner work, do nothing. Allow the universe to respond to your new state of consciousness. Trust the law. Trust the process. Trust yourself as the operant power in your own life. The bridge of incidents. When you assume the state of the wish fulfilled and then do nothing, the universe begins to construct what I call the bridge of incident, a series of seemingly unrelated events that lead inevitably to the manifestation of your desire. This bridge of incidents is not something you plan or engineer. It is not something you could predict or anticipate. It is the universe's way of bringing your assumption into physical reality through the path of least resistance. Your job is not to build this bridge. Your job is even to see how the bridge might be built. Your job is simply to assume the state of the wish fulfilled and then allow the universe to build the bridge for you. Often the events that constitute this bridge will seem entirely unrelated to your desire. A chance meeting, a random conversation, an unexpected opportunity. These may seem insignificant at the time, but they are the universe's way of moving you toward the manifestation of your desire. This is why doing nothing is so powerful. When you try to make your desire happen through your own planning and action, you are limiting yourself to what you can conceive or imagine. But when you assume the state and then do nothing, you are allowing the infinite intelligence of the universe to work on your behalf, creating pathways and possibilities that your conscious mind could never have conceived. The test of faith. The period between your assumption and its visible manifestation is the true test of your faith. It is easy to believe when you can see the evidence before your eyes. But can you believe when there is no external evidence? Can you maintain your assumption in the face of apparent failure or delay? This is the challenge and the opportunity of doing nothing. It is the invitation to trust in the unseen, to have faith in the invisible, to know that what you have assumed in consciousness is already a reality, even if you cannot yet perceive it with your physical senses. During this period of seeming inactivity, remember that enormous changes are taking place beneath the surface. Just as a seed germinates in the darkness of the soil before it breaks through to the light, your assumption is germinating in the darkness of your subconscious before it breaks through into your visible experience. Do not be discouraged by apparent delays or setbacks. These are often part of the bridge of incidents, necessary steps in the process of manifestation. Trust that everything is unfolding perfectly, even if it does not appear so from your limited perspective. The law of reversibility. There is a principle in physics known as the law of reversibility, which states that energy can flow in both directions along the same pathway. This law has a metaphysical counterpart. The states of consciousness that result from physical conditions can, when deliberately induced, produce those same physical conditions. For example, if success produces a feeling of confidence, then deliberately inducing the feeling of confidence can produce success. If health produces a feeling of vitality, then deliberately inducing the feeling of vitality can produce health. If abundance produces a feeling of security, then deliberately inducing the feeling of security can produce abundance. This law of reversibility is the scientific basis for the practice of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. By deliberately inducing the feeling that would result from the fulfillment of your desire, you set in motion the causes that will produce that fulfillment. And once you have induced this feeling, once you have assumed this state of consciousness, you need do nothing more. The law will work of its own accord, producing in your outer world the conditions that match your inner state. The daily practice. Let me now outline a simple daily practice for applying the principle of doing nothing after assuming the state of the wish fulfilled. Identify your desire clearly. What do you want to be, have, or experience? Construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of that desire. This should be a short, simple scene that you can easily replay in your imagination. As you fall asleep each night, enter the state akin to sleep, and then enact this scene in your imagination. Feel it as real. Experience it with all your senses. Feel the emotions that would accompany the fulfillment of your desire. Throughout the day, whenever you think of your desire, remind yourself that it is already yours in consciousness. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the satisfaction of already having received it. If you notice thoughts or feelings that contradict your assumption, gently revise them. Do not fight or resist them, for what you resist persists. Simply revise them, reimagining them in a way that supports your assumption. Go about your daily activities from the consciousness of already being, having or experiencing what you desire. Let your words, your actions, your decisions flow from this new state of consciousness. Release all anxiety, all worry, all concern about the how or the when of manifestation. Trust the law. Trust the process. Trust yourself as the operant power. Do nothing to make it happen. Allow it to happen through you and to you, but not by you. This daily practice, if followed faithfully, will transform your life in ways you cannot now imagine. It is the practice of the mystics, the sages, the spiritual adepts throughout history. It is the practice that Jesus taught when he said, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." The ultimate surrender. Doing nothing after assuming the state of the wish fulfilled is the ultimate surrender. It is the recognition that you are not the doer, but the observer of the doing. It is the acknowledgement that the universe knows better than your conscious mind how to bring your desire into manifestation. This surrender is not weakness. It is not resignation or defeat. It is the most profound strength, for it is alignment with the creative power of the universe itself. It is the willingness to let go of the limited perspective of the ego and embrace the infinite wisdom of the divine. When you truly surrender in this way, you will find that things begin to happen that you could not have planned or engineered. Opportunities will arise that you could not have anticipated. Resources will appear that you did not know existed. People will enter your life who are perfectly aligned with your desire and your purpose. This is the magic and the mystery of doing nothing. It is not inaction, it is aligned action. It is not passivity. It is perfect receptivity. It is not giving up. It is giving over to a higher power, a greater intelligence, a more perfect understanding. The living proof. I have seen this principle work in my own life and in the lives of countless others who have applied it. Let me share with you a few examples of individuals who have transformed their circumstances through the practice of assuming the state of the wish fulfilled and then doing nothing. One man desired a specific position in his company that seemed unattainable. Rather than striving and struggling to impress his superiors, He simply began to imagine himself already in that position. Each night before sleep, he would imagine sitting at the desk of that position, making decisions, attending meetings as if he already held that role. He did not change his work habits or try to curry favor. He simply lived from the consciousness of already having what he desired. Within weeks, a series of unexpected events led to his promotion to exactly the position he had imagined. A woman longed for reconciliation with her estranged daughter. Instead of calling repeatedly or trying to force a meeting, she began to imagine conversations with her daughter as if they were already reconciled. She would fall asleep each night feeling the joy and gratitude of having a loving relationship with her child. She did nothing outwardly to make this happen. She sent no letters, made no calls, enlisted no intermediaries. She simply lived in the assumption that reconciliation had already occurred. Within a month, her daughter reached out to her spontaneously, and they began the process of healing their relationship. A young artist desired recognition for his work, but had been repeatedly rejected by galleries and critics. Rather than continuing to submit his work and face rejection, he began to imagine himself at a successful exhibition of his paintings. He would feel the satisfaction of seeing his work appreciated, hearing the positive comments, accepting congratulations. He did nothing to promote himself or his work. He simply continued to paint from this new state of consciousness. Within months, a prominent gallery owner discovered his work by chance and offered him a solo exhibition, which launched his career. These are not mere anecdotes or coincidences. They are demonstrations of a law that operates with mathematical precision when properly understood and applied. They are living proof that when you assume the state of the wish fulfilled and then do nothing, everything falls into place perfectly. The final understanding, as we draw toward the conclusion of our discussion, I want to emphasize a final crucial understanding. The doing nothing that I advocate is not a passive waiting for something outside yourself to change your life. It is an active, alert, aware resting in the consciousness of already being who you wish to be. This state of consciousness is not something you visit occasionally in meditation or visualization. It is something you live in continuously. It becomes your dwelling place, your habitual state of being. It is not something you do. It is something you are. When you truly understand and apply this principle, you will find that your being's life begins to flow with an ease and grace that may seem miraculous to others, but that you will recognize as the natural operation of the law of your own being. You will cease struggling against circumstances, cease fighting for what you want, cease trying to make things happen through force of will or action. You will simply live from the end, from the state of the wish fulfilled, and watch as the universe rearranges itself to match your assumption. This is the true meaning of do nothing after this, and watch how everything falls into place. It is the recognition that once you have assumed the consciousness of already having what you desire, your work is done. The seed has been planted. The law is now in operation. All that remains is to water it with your faithful attention and watch as it grows and bears fruit in your experience. The call to practice. I invite you now to put this principle into practice in your own life. Choose one desire, one aim, one goal that you wish to realize. Construct a scene that implies its fulfillment. Enter the state akin to sleep and enact this scene, feeling its reality with all your being. Then, having planted this seed in the fertile soil of your subconscious, do nothing. Do not try to make it happen. Do not worry about how it will happen. Do not concern yourself with when it will happen. Simply live each day from the consciousness of already having what you desire, and watch as the universe begins to respond to your new state of being. This is the law and the prophets. This is the secret of the ages. This is the pearl of great price for which a wise merchant would sell everything he owns. You are the operant power in your own life. You are the divinity that shapes your world. You are the consciousness in which all things live and move and have their being. Recognize this truth, apply this principle, and watch as everything falls into place perfectly in your experience. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The power to transform your life is within you. The capacity to manifest your desires is within you. And it all begins with the simple practice of assuming the state of the wish fulfilled and then doing nothing but allowing the law to work its perfect magic. Go now in the knowledge of your own divine creative power. Go in the confidence that what you have assumed in consciousness must and will externalize itself in your experience. Go in the certainty that as you have believed, so shall it be done unto you. For this is the law of your own being, the truth of your own nature, the reality of who you truly are. You are the God of your own universe, the creator of your own reality, the author of your own destiny. Recognize this, live from this, and watch as everything falls into place perfectly in your life. Remember, do nothing after this, and watch how everything falls into place. It is the law, and it cannot fail. It is the truth, and it shall set you free. You are the operant power in your world. You and you alone are the architect of your life experiences. The world you see around you with all its joys and sorrows, triumphs and challenges is but an outward reflection of your inner state of consciousness. It is a mirror, faithfully reflecting back to you the sum total of your beliefs, assumptions, and imaginal acts. Now you might ask, but Neville, how can this be? Surely the world exists independently of my thoughts and feelings. To this I say, the world as you perceive it exists nowhere but in your consciousness. Your senses may tell you otherwise, may insist on the solidity and unchangeable nature of your circumstances, but I tell you this is an illusion, a shadow play cast by the light of your own imagination. Consider for a moment, when you dream at night, do you not experience a world that feels every bit as real as your waking life? Do you not interact with people, places, and situations that seem to exist independently of your will? And yet, upon waking, you recognize that entire world was created within your own mind. So too is it with what you call your waking reality. The great secret then is this: your imagination is the very workshop in which you forge your life experiences. Every event, every circumstance, every person in your life is there because you have imagined them into being, whether consciously or unconsciously. This is the true meaning of the biblical phrase, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. But let us delve deeper into this truth. When we speak of focusing on yourself and your dreams, we are not talking about mere positive thinking or wishful daydreaming. No, we are speaking of a far more potent and transformative practice, the art of living from the end. To live from the end means to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It means to enter in your imagination into the state of consciousness you would occupy if your desire were already a present fact. This is not about visualizing a future event, but about experiencing here and now the reality of your fulfilled desire. Let me give you an example to illustrate this principle. Suppose you desire financial abundance. The common approach would be to focus on the process of acquiring wealth, working harder, saving more, investing wisely. But this approach keeps you rooted in the consciousness of lack, of not yet having what you desire. Instead, I urge you to ask yourself, how would I feel if I motioned financially abundant? What would my inner conversations be like? How would I carry myself? What thoughts would occupy my mind throughout the day? Then, having identified these feelings and states of mind, your task is to assume them now low in your present reality. You see, my dear friends, the secret is not to think about your desire, but to think from the state of its fulfillment. This is the true meaning of prayer, not beseeching an external deity for favors, but aligning your consciousness with the reality you wish to experience. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, this sounds like self-deception. How can I feel wealthy when my bank account tells me otherwise? To this I say, your senses show you only the effects, never the causes of your reality. By persisting in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are operating on the causal level of existence. And the outer world must, by law, reorganize itself to match your new inner state. Remember, consciousness is the only reality. What you are conscious of being, you are. And what you are, you create. This is the true meaning of the biblical injunction to be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. By renewing your mind, that is, by consistently assuming the state of consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you transform your entire world. But let us be clear, this is not about escaping reality or denying your present circumstances. It is about understanding the true nature of reality as a malleable, responsive substance that conforms to your dominant mental states. It is about recognizing your power as a creative being and wielding that power consciously and deliberately. Now you might ask, how do I begin this practice of living from the end? How do I focus on myself and my dreams in this way? The answer lies in the use of your imagination, that divine gift that sets you apart as a creative being in this universe. Each night, as you lay your head upon your pillow, I want you to enter a state of relaxation. Let the cares and concerns of your day fall away. Then with your inner eye, construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. Make it as vivid and as real as you possibly can. Engage all your senses in this imaginal act. If your desire is for a loving relationship, feel the warmth of your beloved's embrace. Hear their voice whispering words of affection. Smell their familiar scent. Make the scene as real and as natural as any memory of a natural event. If your dream is of professional success, see yourself in your ideal work environment. Feel the satisfaction of a job well done. Hear the congratulations of your colleagues. Experience the pride and fulfillment of living your purpose. Whatever your desire may be, construct a scene that implies its fulfillment. Then enter into that scene. Do not watch it as a spectator, but participate in it fully. Be there in your imagination, experiencing the joy and satisfaction of your wish fulfilled. As you fall asleep, carry this feeling with you. Let it be the last thing in your consciousness as you drift off to slumber. For in sleep, when your conscious mind is at rest, these impressions sink deep into your subconscious, the fertile soil from which all your future experiences will grow. But do not limit this practice to your nighttime reveries. Throughout your day, whenever you have a quiet moment, return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Let it color your mood, influence your posture, inform your inner conversations. Remember, my friends, your inner conversations are incredibly powerful. They are the backdrop against which your life unfolds. Most people carry on these inner dialogues unconsciously, rehashing past hurts or worrying about future problems. But you, armed with this knowledge, can consciously direct your inner talking to align with your desires. If you desire health, do not engage in inner conversations about illness or weakness. Instead, hear yourself saying, I am vibrantly healthy and full of energy. If you seek financial abundance, let your inner voice declare, I am abundantly provided for in every way. These inner conversations, persistently maintained, will transform your world. For whatever you consent to in your mind, whatever you feel to be true, must outpicture itself in your reality. This is the law of your being, as unalterable as any law of physics. Now some of you may be wondering, but what about action? Surely we must do something in the outer world to realize our dreams. To this I say, inspired action will flow naturally from your assumed state. When you truly live in the end, when you fully embody the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally and effortlessly taking the steps that lead to its manifestation. This is the meaning of the biblical phrase, the vision has its own appointed hour, it ripens, it will flower. If it be long, then wait, for it is sure, and it will not be late. Your only task is to hold fast to the vision, to persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The how, the when, and the where of its manifestation are not your concern. Trust in the perfect unfolding of your desire, guided by a wisdom far greater than your own. Let me share with you a personal experience to illustrate this principle. Many years ago, when I first arrived in New York City, I had the burning desire to speak at town hall. Now, at that time, I was unknown, with no connections and no apparent means of realizing this dream. But instead of focusing on these seeming obstacles, I chose to live from the end. Each night, as I fell asleep, I would imagine myself standing on the stage at town hall. I felt the solid wood beneath my feet. I saw the sea of faces before me, heard the rustle of the audience, felt the satisfaction of sharing my message with eager listeners. I lived in this state, feeling it to be true, despite all evidence to the contrary in my waking hours. And then, my friends, the outer world began to conform to this inner conviction. Within a matter of weeks, through a series of events that seemed entirely accidental, I found myself invited to speak at town hall. The very scene one had enacted in my imagination came to pass in the outer world, down to the smallest detail. This, my dear friends, is the power that lies within you. This is the creative force of your own wonderful human imagination. It is not limited by your past experiences, your current circumstances, or the opinions of others. It is bound only by your capacity to believe in the reality of your imaginal acts. Now, let us address a common concern that arises when people first encounter these teachings. Many worry that by focusing on themselves and their own desires, they are being selfish or neglecting their duties to others. Nothing could be further from the truth. You see, my friends, you cannot give what you do not have. By focusing on your own growth, your own dreams, your own expansion, you are increasing your capacity to be of service to others. As you transform your own consciousness, you elevate the consciousness of all those around you. Remember the words of the Master, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." The kingdom of God is not a place in space or time, but a state of consciousness. It is the state of knowing yourself to be one with the creative power of the universe. When you seek this state first, when you prioritize the alignment of your consciousness with your desires, everything else falls naturally into place. Moreover, as you begin to experience the fruits of this practice in your own life, you become a living testament to the power of imagination. Your very being becomes an inspiration to others, showing them what is possible when one takes control of their inner world. But let me caution you, this work requires persistence and faith. You may not see immediate results in your outer world. The seed you plant in your imagination needs time to germinate and grow. During this period, you may face doubts, both from within yourself and from others. This is where the real test of your faith comes in. Can you persist in the feeling of your wish fulfilled even when your senses deny it? Can you remain loyal to your vision, even when the outer world seems to contradict it? This is the mark of a true master of faith. Remember the biblical story of Abraham, who was promised countless descendants when he was old and childless. Against all odds, against all evidence of his senses, he persisted in his faith. He dared to believe in the reality of that which was not yet manifest. And in due time, his faith was rewarded. So too must you persist in your imaginal acts, in your assumption of the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Do not waver, do not doubt, do not give in to the temptation to judge by appearances. Hold fast to your vision, knowing that what you are conscious of being, you must become. Now let us delve deeper into the mechanics of this practice. When you focus on yourself and your dreams in the way I am describing, you are engaging in a profound act of self-love and self-respect. You are declaring to the universe, and more importantly to your own subconscious mind, that you are worthy of your desires. This act of self-affirmation is crucial. Many people sabotage their own success because deep down, they do not believe they deserve it. They may go through the motions of pursuing their dreams, but their inner conviction tells a different story. By consistently assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are reprogramming your subconscious mind. You are overwriting old patterns of lack, limitation, and unworthiness with new patterns of abundance, possibility, and deservingness. This is why it's so important to make your imaginal acts as vivid and as real as possible. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience in the outer world. By presenting it with vivid, persistent images of your desired reality, you are training it to accept this new reality as fact. And once your subconscious accepts something as fact, it works tirelessly to bring it into manifestation. It influences your perceptions, your decisions, your actions, all to align with this new accepted reality. This is the power of your subconscious mind. And by learning to work with it rather than against it, you unlock truly limitless potential. But remember, my friends, this is not about forcing or straining. The kingdom of heaven is not taken by violence. Your imaginal acts should be playful, joyful, natural. They should feel like slipping into a comfortable, familiar state rather than an arduous exercise of will. Think of a child at play, fully immersed in their imaginary world. They do not doubt the reality of their imaginings. They do not strain to believe. They simply are what they imagine themselves to be, fully and without reservation. This is the state you must cultivate in your own imaginal work. Now, some of you may be wondering about the role of action in this process. Surely you might think, I can't just sit around imagining all day. Don't I need to do something to make my dreams a reality? To this I say, right action will flow naturally from your assumed state. When you truly live in the end, when you fully embody the state of your wish fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally inspired to take the steps that lead to its manifestation. These actions will not feel like hard work or struggle. They will feel natural efforts, almost inevitable. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time, saying the right words, making the right decisions, all as a natural outflow of your assumed state. This is the true meaning of the phrase, the signs follow. They do not precede. The outer actions are not the cause of your success, but the effect of your inner transformation. They are the shadow cast by the light of your imagination. Let me give you another example from my own life to illustrate this principle. When I first began giving lectures on these truths, I had a deep desire to reach a wider audience. I imagined myself speaking to large crowds, sharing these teachings with people from all walks of life. Now, I did not go out and frantically advertise or promote myself. I did not strain or struggle to make this happen. Instead, I lived from the end. In my imagination, I saw myself standing before packed auditoriums. I felt the joy of sharing these truths with eager listeners. I experienced the satisfaction of knowing my message was reaching and transforming lives. And then, my friends, the outer world began to conform to this inner conviction. Opportunities began to present themselves. Invitations to speak at larger venues started to come in. People began to spread the word about my lectures. All of this happened naturally, effortlessly, as a result of my inner work. This is the power that lies within you, my dear friends. This is the creative force of your own wonderful human imagination. It is not limited by your past experiences, your current circumstances, or the opinions of others. It is bound only by your capacity to believe in the reality of your imaginal acts. Now let us address another common concern that arises when people first encounter these teachings. Many worry about the ethical implications of this practice. They ask if I can imagine anything into being. What's to stop me from using this power for selfish or harmful ends? To this, I say, the very nature of this practice precludes its misuse. For when you truly enter into the state of your wish fulfilled, When you fully embody the consciousness of your desire, you are aligning yourself with the highest good. You see, my friends, at the deepest level of our being, we all desire the same things: love, joy, peace, fulfillment. When you imagine from this place of your highest self, you naturally align with these universal desires. Your imaginings become not just for your own benefit, but for the benefit of all. Moreover, as you practice this art of imagining, you will find your desires naturally refining themselves. What once seemed important may fall away as you connect more deeply with your true self. Your imaginings will become purer, more aligned with your highest good and the highest good of all. This is the true meaning of the phrase, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." As you align your consciousness with your highest self, with the creative power of the universe, everything else falls naturally into place. Now, my friends, I want to address a question that often arises when I share these teachings. People ask, "But Neville, what about the suffering in the world? What about those who are oppressed, impoverished, or ill? Are you saying they have imagined this for themselves?" This is a profound question, and it deserves a thoughtful answer. First, let me be clear, this teaching is not about blame or judgment. It is about empowerment. It is about recognizing the creative power that lies within each of us and learning to use it consciously. You see, most people are not aware of the power of their imagination. They do not realize that their inner assumptions and beliefs are shaping their outer reality. They are imagining unconsciously, often focusing on what they fear or what they lack, rather than on what they desire. Moreover, we are all influenced by the collective consciousness of our society, our culture, our time. Many of the limitations and sufferings we experience are the result of collectively held beliefs and assumptions. But here's the wonderful truth. Just as we have imagined these conditions into being, we can imagine something different. We can change our individual consciousness, and in doing so, contribute to changing the collective consciousness. This is the true meaning of being the change you wish to see in the world. By focusing on yourself, by imagining a better reality for yourself, you are not being selfish. You are contributing to the elevation of all humanity. You are adding your light to the sum of light. Remember, my friends, consciousness is the only reality. The world you see around you is a reflection of consciousness, both individual and collective. By changing your consciousness, by persistently imagining a better reality, you are literally changing the world. This work of imagination is not separate from practical action in the world. Rather, it informs and inspires that action. When you live from the state of your wish fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally taking the steps that lead to its manifestation. You will be guided by an inner wisdom that far surpasses mere intellect. So I urge you, my dear friends, to take up this practice with all seriousness. Make it the central focus of your life. Every night as you fall asleep, and every morning as you wake, enter into the state of your wish fulfilled. Feel it, live it, believe in it with all your heart. Throughout your day, whenever you have a quiet moment, return to this state. Let it inform your thoughts, your words, your actions. Let it become the new normal for you. For what you persist in imagining, you must eventually experience. Remember, the time it takes for your imaginal act to become your physical reality is directly proportionate to the naturalness of the state. The more natural it feels to you, the more quickly it will manifest. This is why persistence is key. You are forming new neural pathways, new patterns of thought and feeling. In closing, I want to remind you of this fundamental truth. You are the operant power in your world. Your consciousness is the creative force that shapes your reality. By focusing on yourself and your dreams, by living from the state of your wish fulfilled, you are stepping into your true power as a creative being. Go forth then and create boldly. Imagine lovingly. Live fully in the consciousness of your fulfilled desires. For in doing so, you are not only transforming your own life, but contributing to the transformation of all humanity. You are fulfilling your divine purpose. as a co-creator in this magnificent universe. Thank you, and may your imagination guide you to the fulfillment of all your dreams. The world you see around you is not the cause of your experience, but the effect. It is the outpicturing of your inner states of consciousness. Every circumstance, every person, every experience in your life is a reflection of your own thoughts and beliefs. When you grasp this fundamental truth, you realize that the repayment you seek is not about receiving something from an external source. It is about shifting your consciousness to a state where what you desire already exists. For in truth, nothing is ever lost. It simply exists in a state that you are not currently occupying. Consider for a moment, have you ever misplaced an object in your home, only to find it later exactly where it should have been? The object was never lost. It was always there. You simply weren't occupying the state of consciousness where you were aware of its location. The same principle applies to everything you believe you have lost in life. Now you might be wondering, but Neville, how can I shift my consciousness to a state where I have what I thought was lost? This is an excellent question, and it brings us to the heart of our discussion. The key lies in your wonderful human imagination. Your imagination is not mere fantasy or daydreaming. It is God in action within you. It is the creative power through which all things are made. When you imagine, you are literally reshaping the substance of the universe. To receive repayment for what you thought was lost, you must use your imagination to occupy the state where you already have it. You must feel the reality of it, experience the joy of it, live from the assumption that it is already yours. This is not about pretending or deceiving yourself. It is about aligning yourself with the truth of your desire at the level of cause. For remember, your outer world is simply a reflection of your inner states. As you change within, your outer world has no choice but to conform. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, how can I imagine having something when my current reality shows me its absence? This, my dear friends, is where faith comes in, but not blind faith. Faith based on understanding the law. You see, your physical reality is nothing more than the outpicturing of your past assumptions. It is the harvest of seeds you have previously sown in your consciousness. To change your reality, to receive repayment for what you thought was lost, you must plant new seeds. You must assume a new state of being. When you imagine having what you desire, when you feel the reality of it, you are planting these new seeds. You are assuming the state of one who already has what they desire. And as you persist in this state, your outer world has no choice but to conform to this new inner conviction. This is the true meaning of the biblical phrase, ask and it shall be given you. It is not a plea to an external deity. It is a reminder of your own divine creative power. When you ask, you are declaring your desire as an accomplished fact to your own subconscious mind, which is one with the universal mind. Now let us address a common misconception. Many believe that to manifest their desires, to receive repayment for what they thought was lost, they must visualize every detail of how it will come to pass. But I tell you now, this is not necessary and can even be counterproductive. Your job is not to figure out the how. Your job is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The infinite intelligence of the universe will take care of the how in ways far beyond what your limited conscious mind can conceive. Think of it like this. When you order something online, you don't concern yourself with the logistics of how it will be delivered. You simply place the order and trust that it will arrive. The same principle applies when you seek repayment from the universe. You place your order with the cosmic catalog, so to speak, and then you let go and trust in its delivery. This brings us to another crucial point, the importance of letting go. After you have assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, after you have planted the seed of your desire in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, you must release it. You must fall asleep to the desire, confident in its fulfillment. This letting go is not indifference. It is supreme confidence. It is the knowing that your desire is already yours in the realm of imagination, which is the very substance of reality. As you sleep in this assumption, your subconscious mind goes to work, aligning all the necessary forces to bring about the manifestation of your desire. Now let us explore the concept of revision in relation to receiving repayment for what you thought was lost. Revision is the art of reimagining past events in a way that aligns with your desired reality. This is crucial because your subconscious mind draws upon your memories to create your current experience. When you revise your past, you are literally rewriting the script of your life. You are creating a past that naturally leads to your desired present and future. Instead of dwelling on loss, revise those experiences. See them as stepping stones, as necessary parts of your journey that led you to this moment of revelation and repayment. This practice of revision, combined with living in the state of your wish fulfilled, creates a powerful alignment in your consciousness. You are creating a new past, present, and future all at once, all aligned with the repayment you seek. Now, let us address the concept everyone is you pushed out. This principle states that everyone in your world is a reflection of your consciousness. The way people treat you, the opportunities that come your way, even the seemingly random events in your life, all are reflections of your state of being. When you shift your consciousness to a state of having received repayment for what you thought was lost, you naturally begin to see others differently. You see them as playing their perfect part in the divine unfolding of your desire. This shift in perception allows for miraculous changes in your relationships and circumstances. Let us now discuss the importance of gratitude in receiving repayment from the universe. Gratitude is not just a polite sentiment, it is a powerful creative force. When you are truly grateful, you are acknowledging the presence of your desire in your life. You are affirming its reality even before it manifests in the physical realm. As you seek repayment for what you thought was lost, cultivate a deep sense of gratitude. Be thankful not just for what you can see and touch, but for the unseen blessings that are even now unfolding in your life. Give thanks for the wisdom that guides you, the love that surrounds you, and the power that resides within you. This gratitude aligns you with the frequency of your desire, speeding up its manifestation. It puts you in a state of receptivity, opening you to receive even greater blessings. Now, let us address the concept of the Sabbath. The Sabbath, in this context, is not about a particular day of the week, but about a state of mind. It is a state of complete rest from all effort, a state of knowing that your work is done. When you seek repayment from the universe, when you have assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, enter this Sabbath state. Rest in the certainty that your desire is fulfilled. In this state, you no longer feel the need to make your desire happen because you know it is already done. Let us explore the concept of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean not caring about your desire. It means releasing your anxious attachment to how or when it will manifest. When you are anxiously attached to an outcome, you are actually affirming the absence of your desire. True detachment comes from the deep knowing that your desire is already yours in consciousness, and therefore must manifest in your physical reality. It's a state of calm certainty, of knowing the Lord is at work, even when you can't see the evidence yet. Now let us discuss the power of your imagination once more. Your imagination is not mere fantasy or daydreaming. It is God in action within you. It is the creative power through which all things are made. When you seek repayment from the universe, use your imagination to its fullest potential. Imagine yourself having already received what you thought was lost. Feel the joy of it, the relief, the satisfaction. Live from that state. For in doing so, you are literally reshaping the substance of your reality. Let us address the importance of self-love in this process. Many people struggle to receive repayment from the universe because they don't believe they are worthy of it. But I tell you now, worthiness has nothing to do with it. You are worthy because you exist. You are God's creation, and God only creates perfection. Cultivate self-love as you seek repayment from the universe. Know that you are deserving of all good things simply because you are. This self-love creates a powerful foundation for manifesting your desires. Now let us explore the concept of the law of reversed effort. This law states that the harder you try to achieve something, the more you push it away. This is why letting go and trusting is so powerful. It allows you to align with the natural flow of creation without the interference of struggle or forced effort. Think of it like this when you're learning to swim. If you thrash about frantically, you'll sink. But if you relax and trust the water to hold you up, you float effortlessly. The same principle applies to receiving repayment from the universe. Let us discuss the role of silence in this process. After you have done your imaginal work, after you have assumed the feeling of having received repayment for what you thought was lost, there comes time for silence. This silence is not just external, but internal. It is a cessation of all inner chatter about your desire. In this silence, you allow the seed of your desire to take root and grow. You do not dig it up repeatedly to check on its progress. You trust in the law, knowing that what is done in consciousness must manifest in reality. Now let us address the concept of living in the end once more. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are not hoping for something to happen in the future. You are experiencing your desire as a present fact. This state of living in the end collapses time and brings your desire into the present moment. Remember, in the realm of imagination, where all creation takes place, there is no time. Your desire is fulfilled the moment you assume the feeling of its fulfillment with conviction. The time it takes for this to appear in your physical reality is determined by your faith and your persistence in the assumed state. Let us explore the concept of the observer effect in quantum physics. In the quantum world, the act of observing something changes it. Your observation, your consciousness, affects the behavior of subatomic particles. This principle applies to your life as well. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are choosing to observe your reality from the perspective of already having received it. This observation literally shapes your reality at a quantum level, bringing your desire to manifestation. Now let us discuss the importance of feeling in this process. Feeling is the secret. It's not enough to intellectually know that repayment is possible, or even to visualize it clearly. You must feel the reality of it. When you seek repayment from the universe, allow yourself to fully feel the joy, the excitement, the gratitude of having received it. These elevated emotions are the fuel that gives life to your manifestations. They align you with the frequency of your desire, speeding up its realization in your physical reality. Let us address the concept of resistance once more. Resistance is anything that blocks the flow of your desired reality into your experience. It often shows up as doubt, fear, or worry. When you seek repayment from the universe, release this resistance. Remember, what you resist persists. By letting go of resistance, you allow the natural flow of creation to bring about your desire effortlessly. Now, let us expand the quantum you. The quantum you is the version of you that exists in the field of all possibilities. It's the you that has already received repayment for everything you thought was lost. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are aligning yourself with this quantum version of you. Understand that you're not trying to become something you're not. You're aligning with a version of you that already exists in the quantum field. You're shifting your consciousness to match that reality. Let us discuss the power of your words once more. Your words are not just sounds or symbols. They're creative forces. They're declarations to the universe. When you seek repayment for what you thought was lost, your words must align with this desire. Speak as though you have already received your repayment. Use phrases that affirm the reality of your desire. Remember, your words are seeds planted in the fertile soil of the universe. Make sure you're planting seeds of what you want to grow in your life. Now let us address the importance of patience in this process. Patience in this context is not passive waiting. It is active trust in the law. It is knowing that what is done in consciousness must manifest in reality, and allowing that manifestation to unfold in its perfect timing. When you seek repayment from the universe, cultivate this kind of active patience. Know that your desire is manifesting even if you can't see the evidence yet. Trust in the perfect unfolding of the universe. Let us explore the concept of the present moment once more. The present moment is your point of power. It's the only place where you can make changes, where you can choose your thoughts and emotions. When you seek repayment from the universe, anchor yourself in this present moment. Many people live their lives either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. But when you do this, you're not using your power to create. You're letting your past or your imagined future control your present. Seeking repayment from the universe brings you into alignment with the power of now. Now, let us discuss the role of forgiveness in receiving repayment from the universe. Holding on to resentment, anger, or blame keeps you energetically tied to past experiences. It keeps you vibrating at a lower frequency, attracting more experiences that match that lower energy. Forgiveness is not about condoning what happened or letting someone off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the energetic burden of negative emotions. It's about choosing to vibrate at a higher frequency. As you seek repayment from the universe, practice forgiveness of others and of yourself. Let us address the concept of divine order. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are aligning yourself with divine order. You are recognizing that there is a perfect unfolding of events, even if you can't see it from your limited perspective. Trust in this divine order. Know that everything is happening for your highest good, and even when it doesn't appear that way on the surface. This trust allows you to remain calm and centered, even in the face of apparent setbacks or challenges. Now, let us explore the concept of allowing. Allowing is the opposite of forcing. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are in a state of allowing. You are opening yourself up to receive all the good that the universe has for you. Allowing doesn't mean being passive. It means being receptive. It means being open to possibilities beyond what your limited mind can conceive. It means trusting that the universe knows the best path to the fulfillment of your desires. Let us discuss the importance of self-awareness in this process. To truly receive repayment from the universe, you must be aware of your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions. You must be able to catch yourself when you slip into doubt or anxiety, and consciously choose to return to a state of trust and knowing. Cultivate this self-awareness through practices like meditation, journaling, or simply taking time for quiet reflection. The more aware you are of your inner state, the more effectively you can maintain a state of alignment with your desire. Now let us address the concept of surrender. Surrender is often misunderstood as giving up or admitting defeat. But in the context of receiving repayment from the universe, surrender is a powerful act of alignment. It is surrendering your limited, egoic control to the infinite wisdom of the universe within you. When you surrender in this way, you are not becoming powerless. On the contrary, you are aligning yourself with the most powerful creative force in existence. You are allowing this force to work through you unimpeded by doubt, fear, or limited thinking. Let us explore the concept of faith once more. Faith is not blind belief. It is not hoping for the best while fearing the worst. True faith is a knowing beyond physical evidence. It is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are exercising this kind of faith. You are knowing the reality of your desire with such conviction that you no longer need physical proof. This unwavering faith moves mountains. It parts seas. It transforms the very fabric of your reality. Now let us discuss the importance of your self-concept in this process. Your self-concept is the sum total of your beliefs about who you are. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are adopting a self-concept of someone who is worthy and capable of receiving all good things. See yourself as a divine being, capable of creating any reality you desire. Know that you are not separate from the universe, but an individualized expression of it. This elevated self-concept naturally aligns you with the fulfillment of your desires. Let us address the concept of resistance once more. Resistance often arises when we try to control every aspect of our reality. When you seek repayment from the universe, release this resistance. Allow the infinite intelligence of the universe to work out the details of how your desire will manifest. Remember, your job is not to figure out the how. Your job is to hold the vision of your desire fulfilled and to maintain the feeling of its reality. The universe will take care of the how in ways far more wonderful than you could have imagined. Now, let us explore the concept of the law of attraction in relation to receiving repayment from the universe. The law of attraction states that like attracts like. When you align yourself with the energy of having already received repayment, you naturally raise your vibration. You align yourself with the frequency of desire. This elevated vibration attracts experiences, people, and circumstances that match it. You become a magnet for the fulfillment of your desires, effortlessly drawing to you what you need for their manifestation. Let us discuss the role of gratitude once more. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a state of being. When you seek repayment from the universe, you naturally enter a state of gratitude. You are grateful not just for what you have, but for what is coming. This state of gratitude is incredibly powerful. It aligns you with the abundance of the universe. It opens you to receive even more blessing. Practice gratitude not from a place of lack, hoping to receive, but from a place of fullness, knowing you already have. Now let us address the concept of divine timing once more. Often when we hold tightly to our desires, we create resistance to their natural unfolding. We try to force things to happen on our timeline. But the universe operates on its own divine timing, which is always perfect. When you seek repayment from the universe, align yourself with this divine timing. Release the need to control when or how your desire will manifest. Trust that it will come at the perfect time in the perfect way. Let us explore the concept of unity consciousness. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are recognizing your oneness with the universe. You are understanding that there is no separation between you and what you desire. It is already yours because you are one with all that is. This understanding of unity consciousness dissolves the illusion of lack. It aligns you with the infinite abundance of the universe. From this state of oneness, manifestation becomes effortless and natural. Now let us discuss the importance of detachment once more. Detachment is not indifference. It is not a lack of desire. Detachment is the state of knowing that your desire is already yours in consciousness, and therefore you do not need to anxiously pursue it in the physical world. When you are detached in this way, you are free from the fear of not getting what you want. You are free from the anxiety of when or how it will come. This freedom allows you to enjoy the present moment fully, while still holding the vision of your desire fulfilled. Let us address the concept of allowing once more. Allowing is the opposite of forcing. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are in a state of allowing. You are opening yourself up to receive all the good that the universe has for you. Allowing doesn't mean being passive. It means being receptive. It means being open to possibilities beyond what your limited mind can conceive. It means trusting that the universe knows the best path to the fulfillment of your desires. Now let us explore the concept of the mirror principle. This principle states that your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are creating an inner state of abundance, fulfillment, and gratitude. This inner state will inevitably be reflected in your outer experiences. Understand that as you change your inner world, your outer world must change to match it. This is not wishful thinking. It is the operation of universal law. Let us discuss the role of patience once more. Patience in this context is not passive waiting. It is active trust in the law. It is knowing that what is done in consciousness must manifest in reality, and allowing that manifestation to unfold in its perfect timing. When you seek repayment from the universe, cultivate this kind of active patience. Know that your desire is manifesting, even if you can't see the evidence yet. Trust in the perfect unfolding of the universe. Now let us address the importance of self-love in this process once more. Self-love is not vanity or egotism. It is a recognition of your true worth as a divine being. When you truly love yourself, you naturally align with the fulfillment of your desires. As you seek repayment from the universe, cultivate deep self-love. Know that you are worthy of all that you desire, simply because you exist. This self-love creates a powerful foundation for manifesting your desires. Let us explore the concept of the quantum field once more. In quantum physics, we understand that everything is energy and possibility. Your desires already exist as potentials in this quantum field. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are aligning yourself with the version of reality where your desire is fulfilled. Understand that you are not creating something from nothing. You are selecting a reality from infinite possibilities. Your job is to align your consciousness with the reality you desire to experience. Now let us discuss the power of your focus. Where you place your attention is where you direct your energy. When you seek repayment from the universe, you are focusing on the reality of your desire fulfilled. You are directing your energy towards its manifestation. Be mindful of where you're placing your focus. Are you focusing on what you lack, on what's wrong in your life? Or are you focusing on the reality of your desire fulfilled? Remember, what you focus on expands. In conclusion, remember that the universe is about to repay you for everything you thought was lost. This repayment is not something external to you, but a shift in your consciousness. As you align with the state of having received this repayment, as you live from this assumption, you will find your outer world reshaping itself to match your inner state. Trust in the law. Have faith in your own divine nature. And above all, persist in the state of knowing that your desires are already fulfilled. For in doing so, you are exercising your divine creative power and shaping your reality according to your will. Go forth and create consciously, for the power is within you. The entire universe is at your command. You need only to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and allow your good to flow to you. And so it is. When you truly understand who you are, that you are the opulent power, that you are divine imagination incarnate, why would you need to probe into the world? Consider the biblical passage from Matthew 6:6. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you openly. This is not merely about prayer as the world understands it. This is about the fundamental law of creation itself. You see, when you truly know something, when you have impressed your consciousness with the truth, there is no need to convince others. The outer world, which is nothing more than a shadow of your consciousness, must conform to your inner knowing. This is law. Many of you come to me and ask, Neville, how do I achieve success? And I tell you now, success is not something to be achieved. It is a state to be assumed. But here's where most go wrong. They assume the state and then frantically seek to tell the world about it. They post on social media. They boast to their friends. They desperately try to convince others of their importance. Let me tell you a story from my own experience. Years ago, I knew a man in New York who understood this principle perfectly. He never spoke of his achievements, never boasted of his wealth, never sought to impress others. Yet he was one of the most successful men I had ever met. When I asked him his secret, he simply said, I go to my room, I close my door, and I know who I am. This, my dear friends, is the art of quiet success. It is the understanding that all outer success is merely the fruit of an inner conviction. Why do you need to convince others when you are already convinced? Why do you need to show off when you know who you are? The Bible tells us in Isaiah 30:15, in quietness and confidence shall be your strength. Notice it doesn't say in loudness, and boasting shall be your strength. The very nature of divine power is quiet. Consider the forces that move the planets in their orbits. Do you hear them? Consider the power that turns an acorn into an oak. Does it make any noise? When you truly understand the law of consciousness, you realize that all outer display is unnecessary. The one who knows need not speak. The one who is need not prove. This is why I tell you again and again, go to your room, close your door, and in the silence of your own being, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Many of you still believe that success must be announced, must be displayed, must be proven to others. But I tell you now, this very belief reveals your doubt. For if you truly believed in your own power, if you truly knew your own divinity, why would you need the validation of others? Think of the great mystics throughout history. They didn't advertise their powers. They didn't seek followers. They didn't post their miracles on billboards. They knew, and that knowing was enough. The world came to them because of what they were, not because of what they claimed to be. This is why the scripture tells us the kingdom of God cometh not with observation. It doesn't come with fanfare, with showing off, with external display. It comes quietly, naturally, as surely as dawn follows night. Let me explain to you the mechanics of this principle. When you truly assume a state of consciousness, when you truly know something to be true, it creates a vacuum in your world that must be filled. Just as nature abhors a vacuum in the physical world, consciousness abhors a vacuum in the world of experience. But, and this is crucial, this vacuum is filled most efficiently when you allow it to work in silence. Think of a seed planted in the ground. If you were to dig it up every day to show others how it's growing, you would interfere with its natural development. The same is true of your manifestations. When you constantly speak about them, when you constantly seek to prove them to others, you are interrupting the natural process of their emergence into your world. This is why the greatest achievements often come from those who work in silence. They understand that the power lies not in the telling, but in the towing. They understand that true success is not about impressing others, but about expressing your true self. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. When he had his dreams of future greatness, what happened when he told his brothers? They threw him into a pit and sold him into slavery. But when he worked quietly, faithfully, knowing who he was regardless of his circumstance, he rose to become second only to Pharaoh in all of Egypt. This is the pattern. Those who truly know need not show. Those who truly are need not prove. This is why I tell you, if you want to test this law, pick something you desire to be, to do, or to have. But instead of telling others about it, instead of seeking their approval or validation, go to your room, close your door, and in the silence of your own being, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of it. Feel the reality of it. Know it to be true, just as you know your own name. Then, and this is the crucial part about your daily life, without any attempt to make it happen, without any need to convince others, without any desire to show off or prove yourself. You see, the outer world must conform to your inner knowing. This is law, but it conforms most perfectly when you allow it to do so in its own way, in its own time. The moment you try to force it, the moment you try to prove it to others, you are actually expressing doubt, not faith. Remember the words of Scripture, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness is not just physical stillness of knowing, confidence that comes from understanding. It is the absence of any need to prove, to show, to convince. This is why I tell you that the art of quiet success is really the art of true faith. For what is faith but the quiet knowing that what you have assumed must objectify in your world? It needs no proof, no validation, no external confirmation. It is complete in itself. Let me give you a practical application of this principle. Suppose you desire a particular position in your company. The common approach would be to tell everyone about your ambitions, to constantly try to prove your worth, to make sure everyone knows how qualified you are. But I tell you now, this approach comes from doubt, not faith. Instead, assume the consciousness of already being in that position. Feel its naturalness. Know it to be true. Then go about your daily work quietly, efficiently, without any attempt to prove yourself. You will find that circumstances will rearrange themselves to bring about your assumption far more effectively than any amount of external striving could achieve. This is the true art of success. The understanding that all achievement is simply outer expression of an inner assumption. When you truly know this, you realize that showing off is not only unnecessary, it is actually counterproductive. For in showing off and trying to prove yourself, you are actually denying the very thing you claim to be. You are saying, in effect, I need others to believe this in order for it to be true. But nothing could be further from the truth. The only belief that matters is your own. This is why the greatest masters in any field often appear to be the most humble. It's not that they are practicing humility as a virtue. It's that they have no need to prove themselves. They know who they are, and that knowing is enough. Consider the principle of gravity. Does it need to prove itself? Does it need to convince anyone of its power? Does it need to show off? No, it simply is. And in being what it is, it affects everything in its sphere of influence. You are the same. When you truly assume a state of consciousness, when you truly know who you are, you don't need to prove it to anyone. Like gravity, you simply are. And your being affects everything and everyone in your world. This is why I tell you again and again, the outside world is simply a reflection of your inner assumptions. But these assumptions work most powerfully when they are held in quiet confidence, not broadcast to the world. Think of it this way: when you plant a seed in the ground, do you need to tell everyone about it? Do you need to prove that it will grow? Do you need to dig it up every day to show others its progress? Of course not. You plant it, and in the silence and the darkness of the earth, it grows according to its own nature. Your assumptions are like seeds planted in the fertile soil of your consciousness. They do not need your constant attention, your constant verification, your constant need to prove them to others. They need only your quiet confidence, your unwavering knowing. This is the great secret that the successful ones know. True power needs no announcement. True achievement needs no validation. True being needs no proof. This is why the scripture tells us Let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. In practical terms, this means that when you have assumed a new state of consciousness, when you have impressed your subconscious mind with a new concept of self, you should go about your daily life quietly, without any attempt to force the manifestation or prove it to others. Let me give you another example from my own experience. I knew a woman who desired to be married to a specific person. She came to me asking what she should do. I told her to assume the consciousness of being his wife, but then this was crucial, to do so without any attempt to make it happen in the outer world. She followed this advice perfectly. She assumed the feeling of being his wife, but she didn't try to force the relationship. She didn't tell her friends about her desire. She didn't try to manipulate circumstances. She simply knew, in the quiet of her own being, that she was his wife. Within a matter of months, circumstances rearranged themselves naturally, effortlessly, to bring about her assumption. The man proposed to her of his own free will, without any outer influence on her part. This is the power of quiet success. You see, the outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. This is law. But it conforms most perfectly when you allow it to do so in its own way, in its own time. The moment you try to force it, the moment you try to prove it to others, you are actually expressing doubt, not faith. This is why I tell you that the art of quiet success is really the art of perfect faith. For what is faith but the quiet knowing that what you have assumed must objectify in your world? It needs no proof, no validation, no external confirmation. It is complete in itself. Remember the words of Scripture. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal till it was all leaven. Notice the word hid. The transformative power works best when it is hidden, when it is allowed to work in silence. This is why I tell you, if you want to test this law, if you want to prove it to yourself, choose something you desire to be, to do, or to have. But instead of telling others about it, instead of seeking their approval or validation, go to your room, close your door, and in the silence of your own being, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of it. Feel the reality of it. Know it to be true, just as you know your own name. Then, and this is the crucial part, pour about your daily life without any attempt to make it happen, without any need to convince others, without any desire to show off or prove yourself. For in this quiet knowing, in this silent assumption, lies the true power of manifestation. The outer world must and will conform to your inner knowing, but it does so most perfectly when you allow it to work in silence. This is the art of quiet success, the understanding that all achievement is simply the outer expression of an inner assumption. When you truly know this, you realize that showing off is not only unnecessary, it is actually counterproductive. This principle of quiet success extends far beyond what the mortal mind can comprehend. Let me share with you a deeper truth that few have understood throughout the ages. When you feel the need to display your success, to prove your worth to others, you are actually denying the very principle of your own divine nature. You think of the biblical story of the Pharisee and the tax collector. The Pharisee stood in the temple and proclaimed his righteousness, listing all his good deeds and achievements. But the tax collector stood at a distance, would not even look up to heaven, and simply said, "God, have mercy on me." And who, my dear friends, went home justified? The one who practiced the art of quiet humility. But let me be very clear, this is not about false modesty. This is not about diminishing yourself or hiding your light under a bushel. This is about understanding a fundamental truth of consciousness. That which is real needs no announcement. Consider the principle of electricity. Does it proclaim its power? Does it boast of its ability to light up cities? to move massive machines, to transform the world. No, it simply is what it is, expressing its nature perfectly through its being, not through proclamation. You, my beloved friends, are consciousness incarnate. You are the power that creates worlds. But this power operates most effectively in the quiet chambers of your own mind, in the silence of your own knowing. When you truly understand this, you realize that all outer display is not only unnecessary, it is a denial of your own power. Let me share another principle that few understand. Every time you feel the need to prove yourself, to show off your achievements, to convince others of your worth, you are actually affirming their power over you. You are saying, in effect, your opinion of me matters more than my own knowing of who I am. This is the great mistake that keeps so many bound to the wheel of seeking validation. They achieve something, then immediately seek to prove it to others. They create success, then frantically try to display it. They accomplish their goals, then desperately seek recognition. But I tell you now, this very seeking negates the power of the achievement. Think of the words of Scripture, the kingdom of God is within you, not within others' opinions of you, not within external validation, not within social media likes or public acclaim. It is within you in the quiet sanctuary of your own consciousness. This is why the true masters of any field rarely speak of their achievements. It's not because they are practicing humility as a virtue. It's because they understand this fundamental law. True power expresses itself through being, not through telling. Consider the sun. Does it need to announce its brightness? Does it need to convince anyone of its warmth? Does it need to prove its power to bring life to our world? No, it simply is what it is. And in being what it is, it fulfills its perfect function. You are the same. When you truly assume a state of consciousness, when you truly know who you are, you don't need to prove it to anyone. Like the sun, you simply are. And your being affects everything and everyone in your world. This is why I tell you, the outer world is nothing more than a shadow of your consciousness. But shadows are cast most clearly in silence, in the quiet knowing of your own being. The moment you try to force recognition, the moment you seek to prove yourself, you create ripples in the surface of consciousness that distort its perfect reflection. Let me give you a personal example that illustrates this principle perfectly. Years ago, when I first discovered this law, I tested it in the most practical way possible. I assumed a state of success in my endeavors, but, and this is crucial, I told no one. I didn't seek to prove it. I didn't try to convince others. I simply knew it to be true in the quiet of my own consciousness. And what happened? The outer world rearranged itself to match my inner knowing with a perfection that no amount of outer striving could have achieved. Success came naturally, effortlessly, without any need for announcement or display. This is the pattern I have seen repeated countless times in the lives of those who understand this principle. The ones who truly succeed are not those who shout their achievements from the rooftops, but those who know their achievements in the silence of their own being. Think of it this way: when you plant a seed in the ground, the most important growth happens in darkness and silence. The moment you try to expose it prematurely, you interfere with its natural development. The same is true of your manifestations. This is why the scripture tells us, "In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength." Notice it doesn't say in boasting and display shall be your strength. The very nature of true power is quiet. Let me share with you another profound truth. The need to show off is always a sign of inner doubt. When you truly know something, when you are something, there is no need to prove it to anyone. It simply is. Think of a master musician. Does he need to tell everyone he meets that he is a musician? Does he need to constantly prove his skill? Know when he plays, his mastery is self-evident. The same should be true of your success, of your achievements, of your being. This is the art of quiet success, the understanding that true power operates in silence, that real achievement needs no announcement, that genuine being needs no proof. It is the recognition that you are the operant power, that you are divine imagination incarnate, and that this truth needs no validation from the outer world. Remember the words of Scripture, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness is not just physical stillness, it is the stillness of perfect confidence, the quiet knowing that what you have assumed must manifest in your world. So I tell you now, my dear friends, if you would test this law, if you would prove it to yourself, choose something you desire to be, to do, or to have. But instead of telling others about it, instead of seeking their approval or validation, go to your room, close your door, and in the silence of your own being, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of it. Feel the reality of it. Know it to be true, just as you know your own name. Then, and this is crucial, go about your daily life without any attempt to make it happen, without any need to convince others, without any desire to show off or prove yourself. For in this quiet knowing, in this silent assumption, lies the true power of manifestation. The outer world must and will conform to your inner knowing, but it does so most perfectly when you allow it to work in silence. This is why I tell you again and again, the outside world is simply a reflection of your inner assumptions. But these assumptions work most powerfully when they are held in quiet confidence, not broadcast to the world. Consider the greatest achievements in history. Were they accomplished by those who constantly spoke of what they would do, or by those who quietly did what needed to be done? Were they achieved by those who sought constant validation, or by those who were so convinced of their path that they needed no validation? This is the pattern. Those who truly know need not show. Those who truly are need not prove. This is why I tell you, if you want to test this law, if you want to prove it to yourself, go to your room, close your door, and then assume that your own being. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And remember this, my beloved friends, the outer world must conform to your inner knowing. This is law, but it conforms most perfectly when you allow it to do so in its own way, in its own time. The moment you try to force it, the moment you try to prove it to others, you are actually expressing doubt, not faith. For in showing off, in trying to prove yourself, you are actually denying the very thing you claim to be. You are saying, in effect, I need others to believe this in order for it to be true. But nothing could be further from the truth. The only belief that matters is your own. Let this truth sink deep into your consciousness. You are the operant power. You are divine imagination incarnate. You need not prove this to anyone. You need only know it quietly, confidently, in the silence of your own being. For in this knowing lies the secret of all achievement, all success, all transformation. This is the law, and this is the promise. Test it, prove it to yourself, but do so in the quiet confidence of your own consciousness. For in this quiet knowing lies the power to transform your entire world. This is the art of quiet success, the understanding that all achievement is simply the outer expression of an inner assumption. When you truly know this, you realize that showing off is not only unnecessary, it is actually counterproductive. Let me leave you with this final thought. True power, like the power that moves the stars in their courses, works in silence. True achievement, like the growth of a mighty oak from a tiny awn, happens quietly, naturally, without fanfare. True success, like the dawn of a new day, comes not with observation, but with the quiet certainty of natural law. Remember this, my dear friends, and practice this art of quiet success. For in your quiet knowing, your silent assumption, lies all the power you will need to transform your world. The outer display is unnecessary. The inner knowing is everything. And now, as you go forth from here tonight, carry this truth with you. You are the operant power. You are divine imagination incarnate. You need not prove this to anyone. You need only know it quietly, confidently, in the silence of your own being. For in this knowing lies the secret of all achievement, all success, all transformation. This is the law, and this is the promise. Test it, prove it to yourself, but do so in the quiet confidence of your own consciousness. For in this quiet knowing lies the power to transform your entire world.